Good morning students, welcome back to English class. So we have seen in the last video till page number 77. So we will continue from there today. So it was 9:18 a.m. before the governor heard their voices again, and it was clear that the examination was going to be more than a little late in getting underway. McLeary, you have got a watch. Evans, yes, sir. McLeary, I will be telling you when to start and again when you have 5 minutes left. Alright? Silence. McLeary, there is plenty more of this writing paper should you need it. Silence. McLeary, now write the name of the paper 0211 in the top left hand corner. Silence. McLeary, in the top right hand corner, just write your index number 313 and in the box just below that write your center number 271. Right? Silence. 9:20 a.m. McLeary, I am now going to. Evans, is not going to stay or is? McLeary, I don't know about that. Stephens, Mr. Jackson's given me strict instruction too. Evans, how I am supposed to concentrate on my exam with someone breathing down my neck? Christ, sorry sir, I didn't mean. The governor reached for the phone. Jackson, good. Get Stephen out of that cell, will you? I think we are perhaps overdoing things. As you wish, sir. So, students, here in this paragraph it explains that it was 9:18 a.m. when the governor heard their voices again. It was understood that the exam will start a little late. McLeary queried Evans about having a watch. He answered yes. He said that he will tell him when to start and when he will again tell him when only 5 minutes will be left. Evans said nothing. McLeary gave him instructions about where to start the index number, center number, etc. He quietly followed it. And when McLeary was about to say start, Evans interrupted him and looked at Stephens. Stephens answered that he has been ordered by Jackson to stay there for the exam. Evans complained of not being able to concentrate if someone will be constantly be watching him like this. He also felt sorry for this. Governor called Jackson and ordered him to get Stephens out of the cell as he thought they were doing it a bit too much. So we are moving to the next paragraph of this lesson. The governor heard the exchanges in the cell, heard the door clanked once more and heard McLeary announce that the examination had begun at last. It was 9:25 a.m. and there was a great calm. At 9:40 a.m. the examination board rang through and the assistant secretary with special responsibility for modern languages asked to speak to the governor. The examination had already started, no doubt. A quarter of an hour ago. Yes, well, there was a correction slip which some fool had forgotten to place in the examination package. Very brief. Could the governor please? Yes, of course, I will put you straight through Mr. Jackson in D wing. Hold the line a minute. So what happened in this paragraph? After that, when examination started, the governor heard what was talked on the phone between Stephens and Jackson. He heard the door being shut and also heard McLeary announcing the beginning of the exam. It was 9:25 a.m. and there was great peace. At 9:40 a.m., the Assistant Secretary for the Modern Languages called up from the examination board to speak to the governor. The examination had already started about a quarter of an hour ago. He told him that some fool had not placed the correction slip in the examination package. He then tried to seek help from the governor. The receiver assures him of help by directly connecting the call to Mr. Jackson in D wing. So this was given in this paragraph. I repeat, the governor heard what was talked on the phone between Stephen and Jackson. He heard the doorbell being shut and also heard McLeary announcing the beginning of the exam. It was 9:25 a.m. and there was a great peace. At 9:40 a.m., the Assistant Secretary for Modern Languages called up from the examination board to speak to the governor. The examination had already started about a quarter of an hour ago. He told him that some fool had not placed the correction slip in the examination package. He then tried to seek help from the governor. The receiver assures him of help by directly connecting the call to Mr. Jackson in D wing. Now the next paragraph. Was this sort of thing the governor had feared? Was the phone call a fake? Some signal, some secret message, but he could check on that immediately. He dialed the number of the examination board but heard only the staccato bleeps of a line engaged. But then the line was engaged, wasn't it? Yes, not really intelligent that. 2 minutes later, he heard some whispered communication in the cell, and then McLeary bored Scott's voice. Will you please stop writing a while? Mr. Evans, and listen carefully. Candidates offering German 0211 should note the following correction. On page 3, line 15, the fourth word should read golden, not golden. The whole phrase will therefore read Zum golden lawn, not Zum goldening lawn. I will repeat that. So staccato means what? A short musical note. As we have go through this paragraph in the previous video also, then also I am repeating these paragraphs. Staccato means what? A short musical note. Scots means what? Another term for Scottish. So here what happened here? Could this a reason behind this fear? His fear. The governor thought. A line of thoughts came to his mind about the call being a fake call used to share some signal or a secret message. He then cross-checked it by dialing the number of examination board. He heard the sound of continuous beep which one hears if the phone is engaged. After a gap of 2 minutes, he heard some whisper. After a while, he heard McLeary giving instruction to the Evans in his heavy Scottish voice. He asked him to stop writing for a while and also instructed him to open page 3. Here, he gave him some instruction as to make correction of fourth word in 15th line. Now the next paragraph. The governor listened and smiled. He had taken German in the sixth form himself, and he remembered all about the agreements of adjectives. And so did McLeary. By the sound of things, for the minister's pronunciation was most impressive. But what about Evans? He probably didn't know what an adjective was. The phone rang again. The magistrate court. They needed a prison van and a couple of prison officers, remand case, and within 2 minutes the governor was wondering whether that could be a hoax. He told himself not to be so silly. His imagination was beginning to run right. So, a magistrate means a civil officer who administrates law. Hoax means prank. So, here, the governor listened and smiled because he had taken German as a language when he was in the 6th class. He remembered about the adjectives, and so did McLeary. The minister's pronunciation of the words sounded very impressive to the governor. But he thought there was less chance of Evans being aware of the adjectives. Meanwhile, he received a call from the magistrate's civil officer who administered law and court. In a court, there was a need of a prison van and some officer as there was a remand case. Within the next 2 minutes, the governor thought it to be a fake call. He then thought that he was thinking too much. His imagination was getting out of control. So yeah, Evans, for the first quarter of an hour, Stephens had dutifully peered through the peephole at intervals of 1 minute and or so. After that, every 2 minutes at 10:45 am, everything was still all right as he looked through the peephole once more. It took 4 to 5 seconds, no more. What was the point? It was always more or less the same. Evans, his pen between his lips, sat staring straight in front of him towards the door, seeking it seemed some sorely needed inspiration from somewhere. And opposite him, McLeary, seated slightly, asking from the table now. His face in semi-profile, his hair, as Stephens had noticed earlier, amateurishly clipped pretty closely to the scalp. His eyes behind the pebble lenses peering slightly sightily at the church stands. His right index finger hooked beneath the narrow clerical collar, and the fingers of the left hand, the nails meticulously manicured, slowly stroking the short black beard. Here, stare means what? Gaze. Ask means what? Titled or angled. Semi-profile means what? Partly turned. Amateurish means what? Beginner. Meticulously means what? Carefully. Manicured means what? Well cared or tidy. So here for the first 15 minutes, Stephens had looked into the cell through the peephole after a gap of every 1 minute and then after a gap of 2 minutes. At 10:45 am, everything seemed normal when he looked through the hall. There was no difference, it remained the same as always. Evans was always chewing his pen and looking at the front. McLeary, always seated on his chair, a bit tilted on one side with his face partly turned. Stephens had noticed him earlier that his hair was cut very short near the scalp. He was reading the church Times through his spectacles and his first finger was under his collar. The fingers of the left hand were nicely manicured. He was softly touching his black beard. At 10:50 am, the receiver crackled to life and the governor realized he had almost forgotten Evans for a few minutes. Evans, please sir, a whisper. Evans, please sir, louder. Evans, would you mind if I put a blanket around me shoulders, sir? It's a bit parky, isn't it? Silence. Evans, there is one on me bunk here, sir. McLeary, be quick about it. Silence. So a crack means what? Crackled means what? Crack or sizzle. Parky means what? Cold. So what happened at 10:50 am? The phone rang, and after the while the governor found that he had almost forgotten about Evans. He then heard Evans seeking permission from the supervisor to wrap a blanket around his shoulder as he was feeling cold there. McLeary allowed him. Now, the next paragraph. At 10:51 a.m., Stephens was more than little surprised to see a grey regulation blanket wrapped around Evans' shoulders. And he frowned slightly and looked at the examinee more closely, but Evans, the pen still between his teeth, was staring just as vacantly as before, blankly beneath a blanket. Should Stephens report the slight irregularity? Anything at all fishy, hadn't Jackson said. He looked through the peephole once again, and even as he did so, Evans pulled the dirty blanket more closely to himself. Was he planning a sudden Batman leap to suffocate McLeary in the blanket? Don't be daft. There was never any sun on the side of the prison, no heating either during the summer months, and it could get quite chilly in some of the cells. Stephens decided to revert to his earlier every minute observation. At 9:20 a.m., the receiver once more crackled across the silence of the governor's office, and McLeary informed Evans that only 5 minutes remained. The examination was almost over now, but something still gnawed away quietly in the governor's mind. He reached for the phone once more. Students, frown means what? Make a face. Frown means what? Make a face. And fishy means a doubtful thing. A doubtful thing is called what? Fishy. Suffocate means what? Breathless. Revert means what? Return to. Noun means what? Chew. Here at 10:51 a.m., Stephens opened the peephole and was surprised to see Evans sitting with a blanket on his shoulders. It seemed strange to him, and he even thought of reporting Jackson for the new change he had noticed. He again looked at him and noticed that Evans pulled the dirty blanket close to himself. Now Stephen was getting doubtful about Evans, and he even thought that he could harm McLeary by suffocating him with this blanket. But then he told himself that he should not behave so foolish, as there is no sun on the side of the prison, not even in summers. It is normal that the cell gets chilly, so he decided to return back to his every minute check through the peephole. Now, so what happened in the next paragraph? At 11:20 a.m., once again the governor's phone rang. Meanwhile, McLeary told Evans that only 5 minutes were left for the exam to be completed. Governor was still doubtful about something, but he went to receive the call. At 11:22 a.m., Jackson shouted along the corridor to Stephens. The governor wanted to speak with him. Hurry, man! Stephens picked up the phone apprehensively and listened to the rapidly spoken orders. Stephens himself was to accompany McLeary to the main prison gates. Understood? Stephens personally was to make absolutely sure that the door was locked on Evans after McLeary had left the cell. Understood? Understood. At 11:25 a.m., the governor heard the final exchanges. So students, apprehensive means what? Worried or anxious. Worried or anxious. Absolutely means what? Completely. So here, at 11:22, Jackson shouted to Stephens as the governor wanted to talk to him. He ran up and listened carefully to each and everything ordered to him. It was his duty to accompany McLeary to the main gate of the prison. Stephen had to be fully assured about Ivan's cell being properly locked when McLeary leaves it. At 11:25 a.m., the governor heard the final talks between Evans and McLeary. McLeary, stop writing, please. Silence. McLeary, put your sheets in order and see they are correctly numbered. Silence. Scrapping of chairs and tables. Evans, thank you very much, sir. McLeary, all right, was it? Evans, not too bad. McLeary, good. Mr. Stephens, very loud. The governor heard the door clang for the last time. The examination was over. How did he get on? Do you think? Asked Stephens as he walked beside McLeary to the main gates. Oh, I can think he's distinguished himself. I'm afraid. Scott's accent seemed broader than ever, and his long black overcoat, reaching almost to his knees, fostered the illusion that he had suddenly grown slimmer. So here, scrapping means what? Sound of an action of rubbing. The sound of an action of rubbing. Distinguish means what? Differentiate. Foster means what? Support. Foster means what? Support. Illusion means what? Mirage or imagination. Illusion means what? Mirage or imagination. So here what happened? McLeary asked Evans to stop writing, and he also told him to arrange his sheets in order. Then the sound of the movement of chairs was heard. Evans said thank you to McLeary. He queried as to how his exam was. Evans replied that it was not too bad. He then called Mr. Stephen. The governor heard the final shutting down of the door. The exam was over. Stephen asked McLeary, did Evans' exam go well? McLeary said that he didn't think so. His Scottish accent seemed a bit different from the earlier one. Moreover, his overcoat was now reaching close to his knees, leading to the imagination that he had suddenly turned slim. Next paragraph. Stephens felt pleased that the governor had felt pleased that the governor had asked him and not Jackson to see McLeary of the premises, and all in that morning had gone pretty well. But something stopped him from the making his way directly to the canteen for a belated cup of coffee. He wanted to take just one last look at Evans. It was like a program he had seen on TV, but a woman who could never really convince herself that she had locked the front door when she had gone to bed. Often she had got up 12, 15, sometimes 20 times to check the bolts. So, belated, the word meaning A means late or overdue. Belated means what? Late or overdue. Convince means what? Assure. Make sure. Okay. Convince means what? Make sure or assure. Here, Stephen was happy as the governor choose him over Jackson to accompany McLeary of the premises. Everything was done fine this day, he thought. It stopped him from going to the canteen for a overdue cup of coffee. He wanted to see Evans for one last time. It seemed to him like a TV program in which the lady's never sure of locking the door before going to bed, and she would get up 12, 15 or even 20 times to check the balls. So, I repeat this paragraph once again. Stephen was happy as the governor chose him over Jackson to accompany McLeary of the premises. Everything was done fine this day. He thought he stopped him from going to the canteen for an overdue cup of coffee. He wanted to see Evans for one last time. It seemed to him like a TV program in which the lady is never sure of locking the door before going to bed, and she would get up 12, 15, or even 20 times to check the balls. Next paragraph. He re-entered the wing, made his way along to Ivan's cell, and opened the peephole once more. Oh no, Christ, no! There, sprawled back in Ivan's chair, was a man. For a semi-second, Stephens thought it must be Evans. A grey regulation blanket slipping from his shoulders, the front of his closely cropped, irregularly tufted hair, awash with Fearon's red blood which had dripped already through the small black beard and was even now spreading horribly over the white clerical collar and down into the black clerical front. Stephens shouted wildly for Jackson, and the words appeared to penetrate the curtain of blood that veiled McLeary's ears, for the minister's hand fell feebly for a handkerchief from his pocket and held it to his bleeding head, the blood seeping slowly through the white linen. He gave a long, low moan and tried to speak, but his voice trailed away by the time Jackson had arrived and dispatched Stephens to ring the police and the ambulance. The handkerchief was sticky, squishy swatch of cloth. Sprawl means what? Lie back. Tuft means what? Bunch. Tufted means what? Bunch. Awash means what? Flooded or covered. Awash means what? Flooded or covered. Drip means what? Drop. Veil means face covering. Feeble means what? Very weak. Seeping means what? Flowing. Mourn means what? Cry. Trail means what? Stream. Squelchy means what? A soft sucking sound made when pressure is applied to liquid or mud. Squishy means what? A soft sucking sound made when pressure is applied to liquid or mud. So yes, Stephen again entered into the deep wing, and he once again opened the peephole of Evans' cell. When he looked inside through it, he cried, "Oh Christ," as he was shocked to see the situation inside. For a few seconds he thought that it was Stephens on his chair, but it was not so. But the churchman was lying back, and his hair was soaked in blood. The blood was flowing down horribly from his beard to his collar and then on his black overcoat. Then what happened? Stephen shouted for Jackson so loudly that even McLeary, whose ear was filled with blood, was able to hear it. The churchman was weakly searching for the hanky to stop the blood flowing from his head. Hanky got soaked in the blood and he cried out of pain. He tried to speak, but he couldn't do so. By the time Jackson came and ordered Stephens to call the police and ambulance, the hanky got fully soaked in the blood, and now it was making a soft sucking sound when pressure was applied to it. So we have seen in this video that this is a lesson, Evans' Ode. We'll continue this lesson in the next video. We have seen that this is a story. Evans tries an O-level exam. O-level exam is what? Ordinary exam. And the story Evans' Ode trial is about a cunning prisoner, Evans. His name is Evans, and who makes a plan to escape from the prison. He was a prisoner, cunning prisoner, and on the day of his German language O-level exam, on the level he had to give the German language exam, that is O-level. O-level means what? Ordinary level exam. The jail authorities on the other hand, are ready to cover up any sort of risk. So we have to see that will he able to succeed in his escape. We have reached half of the lesson, and we will see in the next pages that will he able to succeed in his escape. So until then, keep watching, keep reading. Goodbye.